All right, so now we've come to the point where we're going to teach about podcasting and how to manage that with your plugin. So the post section is where you would publish articles or events or pictures or anything that you want to just inform people about on your website. And podcasting is where you actually create a podcast of audio or video. And those can be something that people can download automatically with their phones and things of that nature. So normally on the actual website itself, they both appear together. If you go to the latest news section, both posts and podcasts appear on the same page, the latest news. However, there's usually a special podcast link that people can access and use on their phone to actually download that podcast every week automatically or however often you post. Now, I've logged into a website here that is a church website, and because they have a very active podcast here. So what we're going to do is investigate this a little bit. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of the details about the posts and stuff, because if you go to your user manual and your videos, there's already a lot of stuff about posts, but there's not a lot about the podcast. So let's go into that. So if we go here to podcasts, you can see all episodes, and you can see just only the podcast episodes. Now, what we would normally do is we would add new. Now, we can add new, and then we can go and upload from that add new the image and a video and a MP3 or of the event of the whatever recording you're publishing. However, I normally like to do it in the media section. So I usually go straight to media, and then I usually take my MP3, which I usually take that MP3 and I usually try to trim off the beginning and end if there was any music or anything of that nature that you wanted to cut out, and just get to the part that you want to actually publish. Do any editing you need to do. There are tools out there like Audacity and stuff that you can do noise filters on and clear up background noise, things of that nature. But what we want to do here is, let me just give you an example. I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it down here, so you should be able to still see it, and we're just going to drag it and then drop it. See, drop files to upload. Boom, it's uploaded. So what I always do, I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. What I always do is I always upload an MP3, which is the sermon in this case, and an image to go with that sermon, right? And so if the person speaking has given slides, a lot of times I will just take the PowerPoint or the Keynote and I'll just export the first slide as an image, and I'll upload that first slide as the image that I want to use, and then I'll upload the sermon itself. Now, sometimes though, there is no slide. We have a guest speaker or someone just doesn't have slides, which is fine. And in that case, I still like to use an image because images draw attentions. And so what I want to do is I will show you how to create images like this on the fly and very easy. This is an example. We had a guest speaker, Rodney Phillips, and the sermon was "Water Please," and you can see I picked this background of water, and it's kind of slightly faded, and then that's on top of it. So it worked really well, and you can make these really easy and really fast, and I'll show you that in a different video. It should be on your welcome screen if you have this one, called creating Pablo images or something of that nature. So anyway, okay, so let's pretend I've uploaded this. I've uploaded MP3 and I've uploaded the image. So now we're going to go back to podcasts, and we're just going to go add new. And so then I'm going to give it a title, and I'm going to give it a description. Now I'm going to give it a description that is text, that is more than just a single line. I'm not going to say this is the sermon, okay? Because Google and search engines and things of that nature, they cannot understand audio or video. So you need to give the text for not only the person so that they know what the sermon is about without having to start it, but also for the search engines so they know what it's about, so they know what visitors to send you. So it's a really important Now, I'll usually, a lot of times, I'll be publishing a sermon or something after it's actually happened. So I'll usually go in here and I'll change the date back to what it was. Then you'll come down here, you'll give it any tags. You can usually choose from most common tags, and you got all these tags that you've used in the past. Normally what happens is that shows up on the page, and if people click a tag, they can see other sermons that were on the same topic. You can do podcast series. Now, featured image, that's always a really important one. Whatever you set as your featured image will be the image. If you share that on Facebook, it will be something that draws people's attention, and the images are incredibly important. So you just set a featured image, and there we can click the image that we've already uploaded. We can click the one we created with Pablo, and I'll show you again in a different video how to do that. Then we're gonna say episode type audio. Now, if you didn't upload that previously, you could also click here, upload files, and you can just drag and drop here on the page. I just usually prefer to go ahead and go to the media section and upload them right away. That way, sometimes I get a little bit behind. I'm uploading 2 sermons. I'll go ahead and just go to the media section, upload both the sermons, and then later come back, I'll publish one, and then later, 2-3 days later, I'll publish another one. That way any of our followers don't get inundated with like 2 new sermons that were 2 weeks old or whatever. But anyway, the podcast file, it's the same way. You click upload file, and you click upload file, and you can upload it. I've just already uploaded it usually, so I go to media library and click the one that I uploaded already, right? It's that simple. Duration and file size, this is automatically calculated. See, calculated automatically if possible. 9 times out of 10, most services and hosting accounts will do that. So once you click upload, it'll automatically pick out the duration, the file size, and all that. That's no problem. Date recorded, you do want to do that. So you want to go back to whenever that was recorded. Explicit, if it's explicit, so if you publish your podcast on iTunes or a lot of other services that allow you to publish it for Android users and things of that nature, you can mark certain ones explicit if it's not okay for kids under the age of like 12 for sure. But I think even if I think it's in like the 17 range, you want to mark it as explicit if it's not okay for anyone under the age of 17. Block if there's a particular episode. If you're publishing in iTunes and Google Play, that's awesome. And if there's a certain one that you want to publish but you don't want it on those, then you can click this to block it off there. That's all you need. I usually do set an author. If you have multiple people that are speaking, then you can set your author down here, and then all you do is hit publish, and boom, it's published. So that would automatically occur on your website. It would automatically pop up on your podcast. If you have Facebook linked up, it'll pop up there. Now, I'm not going to go into all the different intricacies of SEO and getting it onto iTunes and stuff like that. If you need that stuff, I can help. I will help. However, for now, let's just get your podcast out there. Let's get some stuff on there. If you have a podcast and you have one recording on it, that's kind of a lame thing to publish. Who really wants to listen to your one thing that you've recorded? Start doing it, build a habit, do it on a regular basis. When you have a couple of months worth of stuff, then we'll worry about trying to get it out there and try to get it out there. But let's not get it out there and advertise it before you even have anything to advertise. I mean, that's just silly. If you did attract someone, chances are you might disappoint them if you forgot to do it one week or did something, and then you're going to lose that person that you could have kept if you would have just built that habit or had more built up already. So I'm going to skip all that. However, if you need it or when you're ready for it, ask me and we'll work on it and we'll get it done. I already know how to do all of that stuff. So if you wanted to, you can go to series. You can see all the series that we have. Tags. You can see all the tags, and you can delete tags if you need. Settings. These are something that I will worry about normally after you're ready to advertise this. We'll set up all this stuff. Securities and redirections and all of this stuff is really not necessary. I can set that up for you. Stats, this is really interesting. I usually always install the stats plugin with the podcast, but it lets you see directly how many listens you're getting. We got 28 listens today, 88 this week, 225 last week. Now, I'm recording this video, it's only Tuesday, so that's why we're at a 60% decrease from last week, but by the end of the week, well, I'm hoping that number comes back up. But you can see a graph. Every once in a while we'll hit these 100+ days where we get spikes, which is good. And then you can also see how people are listening to it. Did they play it in a new window? Those are usually podcasters, people who you listen on their phone, direct download if they come onto the website and just downloaded it. The audio player, that's the audio player on your website. So you can see how people are actually viewing it. It seems most people are actually coming through the podcast maybe on ours, or some other means, I'm not sure. Here it'll show the top 10 episodes of all time, so you can kind of see, what your best ones are. This one we had a guest speaker who was well known, and we actually tagged him on Facebook, and so it just exploded on all his followers. And it kind of gives an unfair example of that, because we don't know how many our podcast is actually, how many people are actually just coming for our podcast, or how many were coming because of him, which is, it's fine either way. But really, I start paying attention down here, because this is people that came just for our podcast. And so we can see some of these, which ones are really working, and what kind of topics are working, so we can kind of see what people are looking for on the podcast. So you can also look at that stuff for individual series, individual episodes, things like that. So that should pretty much cover the podcast. Again, I'm not going to go into some of the advertising stuff and some of the setup stuff, because a lot of that stuff, again, you set it and forget it. So it's kind of silly for me to teach you to do it when I can just work with you and we can get it set up, and it's a one-time done and you can get it out there. But build that habit, start doing it regularly, prove that you're actually going to maintain it. That's the biggest thing, is that we, in my posts, if you look at my posts, we're not very good at doing posts. We've got 6 out here. I need to be better about that, get pictures out there, do that kind of thing. So I'm not doing a whole lot of stuff there. I'd like to add a newsletter, but I'm not going to start a newsletter if I haven't been relentlessly putting up articles and content and stuff that we're going to fill the newsletter with. So right now we've just been focusing on the podcast. I'm not going to worry about a newsletter until I know that I can do good posts. So I'm trying to build that habit. So do it step by step, do it the right way, build those habits, get it working, and then we can go to the next step. Never try to do something more than what you're ready for, because anybody who signs up for it or starts using that tool, if you're not delivering on it, they're going to get disappointed and they're going to walk away from you. So anyway, that should cover it. If you have questions, let me know. If not, you're ready for the next video.